Welcome back, Bison Nation, to this week's weekly broadcast from the Bison Information Network, where we cover the latest in campus news, local news, as well as, you guessed it, national news. Tonight, I'm your host, Ethan Birnbaum, with my co-host,
DeMontra,
and we'll be reporting on a variety of stories tonight, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere.
NDSU's chapter of Society of Physics Students has won an Outstanding Chapter Award from the SPS National Office. This is the first time the chapter has been recognized for its excellence as a top-tier student-led physical sciences organization, a destination given to fewer than 10% of all SPA chapters at colleges and universities in the United States and internationally. The Society of Physics Students is a professional association designed for students. Membership is open to anyone interested in physics or related fields. SPS operates within the American Institute of Physics, an umbrella organization for professional physical science societies. The SPS chapter here at NDSU is a student organization supported by the Department of Physics, advised by Professor Alan Denton, and led by dedicated student officers. This award is such an honor for all students at our SPS chapter. Here at Bison Network, we want to send a special congratulations to all the students involved. Keep up the good work.
There's some big news for NDSU's engineering program tonight. Richard Offerdahl, an NDSU alumnus, has donated $25 million to support the building of a new engineering complex. Having graduated in the year 1965, Offerdahl walked away from NDSU with a bachelor's in electrical engineering and credits NDSU with, quote, teaching me to think like an engineer and that I could make a difference. In the last few years, the alumnus has begun to donate large sums of money to organizations in need, now including NDSU. Offerdahl remarked in an interview with NDSU staff, quote, the state of North Dakota and NDSU made a big investment in me some 50 years ago, so it was time to return the favor. I figured putting it towards the education of future students was a good investment. After being approved by the North Dakota legislature, $59 million in state funds had already been allocated to the project to help build the new engineering complex. Now, thanks to gifts like Offerdahl's and other benefactors, over $40 million has been raised for the project additionally within 10 months. This donation marks the single largest gift in university history to support a building project on campus, a monumental feat that will impact generations of students to come. Thank you, Richard Offerdahl. Last week, NDSU's athletics department hosted the annual Track and Field Summit League Championship within the Shelley Ellig Indoor Track and Field facility. The championship took place over 2 days, Friday, February 23rd, and Saturday, February 24th. The Bison Information Network had boots on the ground on that Saturday, assisting and helping them with the filming of their event. Over 7 different universities from both within and outside of North Dakota competed during the conference, creating a large pool of the best athletes from our region of the country. After the events had raged and the dust had settled, 2 winners were crowned champion. For women, NDSU Bison walked away with having scored 203.5 points for our university, narrowly beating South Dakota by 11 points. In an even tighter race, South Dakota's men snatched the winning title from NDSU by only 1.5 points, their total tallying out to a score of 165. The championship was hard fought, and our university appreciated the event to host such an event. Next year, however, we're coming for you coyotes.
A man charged with possession of child pornography after placing hidden cameras in bathrooms apologized, asking for leniency from the judge. Sentencing for Jeffrey Albert LaPointe was Monday, February 12th at the Cass County Courthouse. LaPointe previously pled guilty to 3 counts of possession of certain materials prohibited, also known as child sex abuse material. Investigators were first made aware of potential child pornography in July 2023 after a woman saw videos of LaPointe's phone that concerned her. The woman asked LaPointe about the videos on his phone and says he admitted to installing a hidden camera in the bathrooms at a home in North Dakota. According to court documents, videos captured a young girl in the nude about a dozen different times. One of the most alarming threats that our children face is child pornography and online predators. It is a sad reality that we must face, but it is crucial that we educate ourselves and our children about these dangers. The internet has made it easier for predators to gain access to our children, and it is our duty to protect them from falling victim. I urge you to be mindful of who you have around your child, whether it is a family member, a friend, or even a caregiver. It is important to trust and know the people who are in contact with your child. Keep a close eye on their online activities and monitor their interactions with others. Talk to your child about the dangers of sharing personal information online and make sure that they understand the importance of reporting any suspicious behavior. It is also crucial to have an open and honest relationship with your child. Encourage them to come to you if they ever feel uncomfortable or threatened by someone. Let them know that they can trust you and that you will always support and protect them.
Up next, a new North Dakota law is coming into effect within the next few weeks, finalizing the push to ban sexually explicit materials from the children's section of the state libraries. House Bill 1205 will affect all 86 of North Dakota's public libraries as they readjust sections to fit within the bill's specifications of removing or relocating explicit sexual material from children's sections. As a result, state libraries and hundreds of K-12 libraries will have to go through an extensive screening process of their inventories to remove said books from their shelves. Under the law, state agencies and public libraries could face a misdemeanor charge for the willful exposure of sexual materials to minors. Although this is the case, in an interview with Inforum, the Fargo Public Library Director Tim Dirks says he's not overly concerned of the outcome of the law. The Fargo Public Library has already had standing policies addressing this situation since the 1990s, resulting in no extensive extra work for the library to readjust. Now, according to them, it's just a waiting game to see what the state plans to do with their submitted adjustment plans.
Our local Fargo Wendys says that it has no plans to increase prices during the busiest times at its restaurants. The burger chain clarified how it will approach pricing after various media reports said that the company was looking to test having the prices that's on the menu and items fluctuate throughout the day based on demand. Wendys plans to invest about $20 million to launch digital menus abroad at all of its U.S. company-run restaurants by the end of 2025. It also plans to invest approximately $10 million over the next 2 years, supporting digital menu enhancements globally. The Fargo location said that its digital menu boards could allow us to change the menu offerings at different times of day and offer discounts and value offers to our customers more easily, particularly in the slower times of the day. So, if you're looking for great discounts with Wendys, please keep a lookout at our local stores here in Fargo.
Some absolutely astonishing news from Moorhead tonight. Congratulations, Moorhead. Your first Chipotle is opening tomorrow. This ground-shaking event will help feed Moorhead's residents for what will hopefully be years to come. The new location is opening near Target and Cashwise along Highway 10. The business will be open from 10:45 a.m. until 10 p.m., 7 days a week, so gear up for some early morning and late night burrito bowls. The building will also feature the Chipotle lane, a state-of-the-art drive-through where customers can pick up orders without leaving their cars, a classic signature of the company. With that being said, enjoy Moorhead as you bask in the glory that is Chipotle's radiance.
As we wrap up the last day of Black History Month, we would like to highlight two incredible African-American writers whose impact and contributions to literature continue to inspire and educate us all. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, a poet who used her writing to advocate for social justice and equality. Born in 1825, she dedicated her life to fighting for rights of marginalized communities, including women and African Americans. Her works, such as A Forest Leaves and The Slave Auction, shed light on the struggles and experiences of Black Americans during the 19th century. Her powerful words continue to resonate with readers today and serve as a reminder of the ongoing fight for equality. Here I will read Harper's poem, The Slave Auction. The sale began. Young girls were there, defenseless in their wretchedness, whose stifled sobs of deep despair revealed their anguish and distress. And mothers stood with screaming eyes and saw their dearest children sold. Unheeded rose their bitter cries, while tyrants bartered them for gold. And woman with her love and truth, for these in sable forms may dwell, gazed on the husband of her youth, with anguish none paint or tell. And men who sold crime was their hue, the impress of their maker's hand, and frail and shrinking children too, were gathered in that mournful band. Ye who have laid your loved ones to rest, and wept above their lifeless clay, know not the anguish of their breasts, whose loves are rudely torn away. The sale began. Wow. Those words can take you on a journey beyond space and time. Another notable African-American writer is Phyllis Wheatley, who was the first published African-American female poet born in the Senegal and brought to America as a slave. Wheatley was able to receive an education and published her first book of poetry, poems on various subjects, religious and moral. In 1773, her writing, influenced by classical literature, showcased her talent and intellect, breaking barriers and challenging societal norms. She paved the way for future generations of African-American writers and left a lasting impact on the literary world. Here is Wheatley's 1773 poem on being brought from Africa to America. 'Twas mercy brought me from my pagan land, taught my benighted soul to understand that there's a God, that there's a Savior too. Once I redemption neither sought nor knew. Some view our sable race with scornful eye. Their color is a diabolic dye. Remember, Christian Negroes, black as Cain, may be refined and join the angelic train. Wow, such glorious words. Remember, Black history is truly American history. Let us honor and recognize the contributions of these two remarkable writers and many others who have used their voices to inspire and change and shape our understanding of the world. We encourage you to take time to read and explore the works of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper and Phyllis Wheatley, and to continue supporting and uplifting Black voices and literature.
A Washington man is in hot water after pleading guilty to the killing of more than 3,000 birds, including eagles, on a Montana state reservation. Travis John Branson and his helpers made a business of their years-long killing spree, having illegally sold the carcasses and feathers of the birds slain. The feathers found from both golden and bald eagles are especially precious to Native American tribes, with entire sets selling for hundreds of dollars. Their main use is to supplement ceremonies and powwows considered sacred to the culture of the tribe. Now, Branson will plead guilty to reduced charges including conspiracy, wildlife trafficking, and 2 counts of unlawful trafficking of eagles. He will also be held responsible for complete restitution of damages. Several other suspects have been referenced in the case, with arrest warrants sent out for their contributions. Now, law enforcement officials are urged to prosecute those who buy the feathers as well, not just those who traffic them, if they want to disrupt this illegal market.
The fight for reparations is not over. What is NAARC? Established in 2015, the National African American Reparations Commission is a group of distinguished professionals from across the country with outstanding accomplishments in the fields of law, medicine, journalism, academia, history, civil rights, and social justice advocacy. What is NAARC's 10-point reparation plan? The 10-point reparations program is a document for review, revision, and adoption as a platform to guide the struggle for reparations for people of African descent in the United States of America. What is H.R. 40? This bill establishes the commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans. The commission shall examine slavery and discrimination in the colonies of the U.S. from 1619 to the present and recommend appropriate remedies. For centuries, the African American community has suffered from the brutal and humane system of chattel slavery. This dark period of our history has left a lasting impact on the lives of millions of individuals and their families. The effects of this heinous practice can still be felt today in the form of systematic racism, economic disparities, and social injustices. It is time for our country to acknowledge the debt owed to the descendants of chattel slavery and take steps toward reparations. This is not just a matter of financial compensation, but a moral obligation to right the wrongs of the past and pave the way for a more equitable future. Furthermore, it is crucial to recognize that every individual in this country did not have an equal footing. The systematic oppression of African Americans have hindered their process and denied them opportunities for advancement. It is time to level the playing field and give the descendants of chattel slavery a chance to thrive. I urge you to take a stand and support reparations for the descendants of chattel slavery. This is not just a matter of reparations, but a step toward reconciliation and healing for our society. We cannot move forward as a nation until we acknowledge the wrongs of the past.
And lastly, for our national news segment, there is some excitement surrounding a new drug that has already widely used and has been found to have a new beneficial effect, the protection against food allergies. Omalizumab, commonly known as Xolair, is an injectable drug that has been used to protect against allergic asthma as well as hives in the past. Since its approval in 2003. In recent times, however, clinical trials hosted by a variety of experts from different institutions have tested its capabilities in protecting patients against severe food allergies. Those tested were allergic to peanuts as well as at least 2 other foods. After being on the drug for 4 months, many subjects were able to tolerate small amounts of the foods that they were extremely allergic to, alleviating the participants' fears of a life-threatening event upon accidental ingestion. As a result, the FDA has approved Xolair for certain kinds of kids or even adults with food allergies, not as a cure, but rather as a failsafe or lifeline to allow them to become tolerant of the previously deadly foods. In time, continual research may help us develop a substance that's even more effective at preventing adverse reaction reactions to food allergies, shining a hopeful light on the future.
Well, that's a wrap with news here at Bison Network. We have a special segment just for you. We will be taking you on the Fargo food tour with our very own Vinny. I had the pleasure of co-hosting with Vinny this week. Let me tell you, my belly is still absolutely full from all that delicious food. We literally had a wonderful time. I'm still tasting barbecue sauce, man, and pastries. I'm DeMontra. Stay tuned.
In this new series that we like to call Fargo Food Tour.
My name is Cooper Wallow Jr. I am the general manager and franchisee owner of Mahana Fresh Fargo. Mahana came up as a business opportunity that felt like I could add value, I could help grow the brand, I could bring people a lot more fresh, healthy options, at the same time providing and creating experiences for my family as well for the service that I'm providing. I started listening to podcasts, start developing, because I kind of tapped out. I stopped setting goals, and I started listening to podcasts. I'll never forget, there was a certain podcast, I still listen to it to this day. I just want 40-year-old Coop's life to look different than 28-year-old Coop. It's almost 2 years. It's just crazy just to show, you get around the right people, the right information, and literally my 5 to 6 year plan, literally 2 years.
Learn how he accomplished a 7-year goal into 2 years, along with his story and our reviews, all on episode 6, Mahana Fresh. See you there. Bye.
My name is Becky Parker, and I'm a news anchor at WDAY-TV. I graduated from NDSU in 2010 with a degree in journalism, broadcasting, and mass communication technologies, and then I had an emphasis on broadcasting. Principles of broadcast production and advanced broadcast production. Those were favorites because they were the most relevant for career experience. You're calling people for interviews, you're writing an article. It doesn't just feel like an assignment, it's like actually doing it. I was the news director for the first full semester of the Bison Information Network. The BIN advisor here was very much invested in me to actually have a career in broadcasting. He helped me get my internship and my first job. The people in NDSU's Department of Communication are really interested and helpful in getting students the connections that they need in order to get a job beyond school.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today, so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
Welcome into the Bison Sports Report, where we find simultaneously the winter sports seasons ending and the spring seasons well underway. Now, starting off with NDSU men's basketball, where the Bison are looking for some big wins here late in the season as they chase that #1 seed. Now, after a tough loss to Denver, the Bison will get their next chance hosting a St. Thomas team also looking for a strong playoff push. The Bison came in as slight record underdogs, but the game felt evenly matched, with that number 3 seed being the stakes. The Bison would have their work cut out for them as they attempted to quiet Parker Bjorklund as the forward gashed them badly in their last meeting. Powering the Bison attack would be Bowden Skunberg, who was averaging 15 against Summit League teams headed into the night. Now, St. Thomas would come away with the tip here, and also some early momentum as NDSU would be scoreless 5 minutes in as Javis Miller tried to jumpstart the scoring here, but it would clang off the rim. However, Andrew Morgan gets the board, fights through contact, and goes back up to get the bunny to fall, finally getting the Bison on the board. 5 minutes later, still looking for points as Jakari White, an acrobatic spinning layup. What a finish by the junior guard. Next would be Skunberg driving in and gets double teamed, but he finds a wide open Morgan all alone from 3 who sinks it. Next time down the floor, Skunberg would drive but miss, but once again, Andrew Morgan gets the board and gets the putback to fall, just as dominating out there on the court. Now Skunberg drives left and he finds Morgan for deja vu on the pick and roll as Morgan would find the bottom of the basket yet again. 90 seconds left in the half as Miller driving. No call on the charge and he's going to make it count. Questionable no call, but way to take advantage by Javis Miller. Bison now within 1 as Wheeler Thomas finds Feddersen, who with a beautiful skyhook finally gets himself going and gives the Bison the lead. Bison now up by 1 at the half, but still plenty of work to do going into the second half against that tough Tommy's team. But the Bison wasting no time as Morgan brings the stadium to its feet with that electric dunk. A little bit later, Morgan would find Skunberg on the move, who drains the 3. Now fast forward a little, White on the inbound and some good ball movement here before Skunberg would drive in and finish with the off-balance layup. Let me tell you, that is not an easy shot to make, but he makes it nonetheless. 9 minutes to go, Skunberg finds White, who clangs off the rim, but once again, Morgan asserting himself, and he finishes with the dunk. Crowd's going to love that one. Now, Miller finds Wheeler Thomas, kicks to White in the corner, clanks around, and he gets it to fall. Bison now by 10 as Wheeler Thomas double teamed here. He's going to find White in the corner. Inaccurate pass. Great save by White. They find Feddersen, who drains the 3. Way to make something out of nothing. Jumping ahead now, Feddersen. Little give and go action with Miller as Feddersen gets it and he gets the driving dunk. Just the stadium is roaring. And Bison now looking to put it away as White with the jab gets his defender off his footing and drills the 3 right in front of him. And NDSU now looking to hammer that final nail in the coffin as Wheeler Thomas double teamed. He would find Feddersen, who beautiful bounce pass to Miller, makes the easy bunny and puts the Tommies away, sealing the Bison victory. And that was all she wrote as NDSU would prevail against St. Thomas 64-50 in a defensive showing at the Shack. The Bison, after that dominating defensive win, now 7-6 in conference play, move up to the 3rd seed, in large part thanks to the defensive effort, but also the efforts of that man right there, Andrew Morgan, just establishing himself down low all night long with the rebounds and putbacks. But 2 teams that could very well face off against each other come tournament play, but the Bison got the best of the Tommies today. Now, after the defensive clinic, the Bison would look to upset the conference leader in North Dakota, but it would be tough sledding early as both teams went back and forth throughout the first half, entering the locker rooms all tied up. North Dakota would get out to a hot start out of the half, taking several small leads throughout the second half, but things were looking rough for the Bison, down 7 with 8 minutes to go, but NDSU would not be deterred, rattling off 8 unanswered to claw back into it, and it would be a nail-biter down the stretch before Andrew Morgan put the game away with key layups and free throws as the Bison would come out on top, 73-68. Morgan would be the star once again, putting up 27 points alongside 5 boards, and Skunberg also playing a key part, scoring 15 to go with his 6 boards. Now after the thriller, the Bison will be on the road to take on a struggling South Dakota team. The Bison currently hold the 3 seed but have their eyes on North Dakota and SDSU as both play each other this weekend. As for the Bison, their game against the Coyotes will be Thursday at 7, and you can watch it live on the Summit League Network or tune in on 107.9 The Fox. Now, while the men continue their mad sprint to the top of the conference, the women have already established themselves as one of the teams to beat. Coming off a 5-game winning streak, the Bison were on a roll, led by the hot hand of sharpshooter Elle Evans, and they were looking to stay on that winning track. Their first test would be against a St. Thomas team that had showed some flashes but struggled to maintain any consistency throughout the season. And the Bison took advantage of this, jumping out to a strong lead as they led going into the half 44-27. From there, it was a race to the parking lot for any Tommy's fans in the stadium, as the Bison not only maintained their lead, but they doubled it as they rode to a 43-point blowout to the tune of a 96-53 win. Elle Evans led the charge once again as her 22 powered the Bison blowout, and Abby Graham and Taryn Hamlin also provided a strong bench presence as they went a combined 6 for 6 from deep, Graham adding 13 points and 2 assists, and Hamlin adding 13 points of her own as well to the totals when all was said and done on the night. Perfect shooting from Hamlin. Can't ask for anything less. Now, after the statement win, the Bison would head home to host longtime rival North Dakota. And while the Fighting Eagles were struggling badly on the season, they did have an elite weapon in senior Casey Borowicz, who was in the top 20 for scoring in the nation. However, the Bison would not be fazed, pouring on 34 in the first quarter as they raced out to a 16-point lead. The Bison would hold on to this lead as they led by 13 going into the half, and from there, it was much of the same story, as NDSU would once again double their lead, taking the term offensive shootout to a new level as they triumphed 107-80. Elle Evans once again led the scoring as her 21 led the Bison's best offensive performance since their Jamestown matchup back in November, and Heaven Hamlin gave her plenty of help on the night, putting up 17 to go with 5 assists as well. Now, all season long, the Bison team has been experiencing this Elle Evans effect, and this past weekend was no different. Evans was electric from the field, going 7 of 10 from 3, along with having plenty of success around the basket. Evans has been a sharpshooter all year long, as she's in the top 10 for three-point percentage, but seems to be getting red hot at the best time to do so. Now, the Bison will look to build upon their impressive 7-game winning streak this Thursday as they host a South Dakota team looking to play the part of upset against a Bison team that is 11-1 at home. That game will tip off at 7 and can be watched on WDAY Extra or the Summit League Network, and you can also listen live on Bison 1660. Now, while it was a big weekend for NDSU basketball, it was arguably even a bigger weekend for both track and field teams as they hosted the Summit League Indoor Championships. Starting with the men, it was a nail-biter as they led going into the triple jump, the final event of the day. However, South Dakota would score 17 to pass the Bison and claim the team title. The Coyotes finished with 165 to the Bison's 163.5, leading to a heartbreaking loss in what was otherwise a successful weekend. The Bison would win 5 events on Saturday for the men, and Zach McGlynn was named the championship's field MVP as a top scorer in the field. McGlynn also recorded the 3rd best high jump in NDSU indoor history. Blake Nyanati broke his own record in the 60-meter hurdles with a 7:75 time, and Cullen Curl, Carter Eld, Kamarley Holmes, and Isaac Huntington teamed up to claim the 4x400 relay crown. Now, for the women, there was still suspense, but it led to a Bison victory as they claimed their 15th title in 17 years. Combined with their 14 outdoor titles, wait for it, the women now have won 29 out of 32 team conference championships since joining the Summit League in 2008. The Bison's 203.5 was enough to get it done as they kept South Dakota and their 192.5 points at bay. The women finished strong, capturing 5 first-place finishes on the final day. Samana Corgo set 3 records in the 60-meter hurdles, setting the meet record, facility record, and her own personal best with an 8:28 time. Kendra Kelly dominated once again, bringing home that 200-meter dash in a time that ranks 30th in the NCAA this entire season. Nell Graham also broke a facility record with a 400-meter time of 53.82, and Ariane Birch won the high jump along with newcomer of the championships as a top freshman. After a weekend packed full of awards, new records, and a title or two, the Bison will have some time to rest before they travel south to compete in the UTSA Invitational. The invite will be held March 15th and 16th. Now, after a tough start to the season last week, NDSU baseball looked to rebound from the sweep dealt to them by UC Irvine. They would have to wait a little bit longer, though, for redemption after having their Tuesday game delayed against Long Beach State. But it was not the start that they were hoping for, as Cal Poly rallied in the 8th and 9th to beat the Bison 5-4. NDSU would then head into a weekend series against Pacific, but it would yield 5 runs in the 6th inning before falling short 6-7. However, the Bison would turn it around, going on to win 9-7 and 6-4 to close out the weekend. They'll have their work cut out for them, though, as the Bison travel to Corvallis to take on number 6 powerhouse Oregon State in a 4-game weekend series. You can watch the games live on Oregon State live stream too. Rotating to the other spring sport, softball had a busy slate as it competed in the Texas A&M Invitational. It was an invite to forget, though, as the Bison dropped all 5 of their games. The weekend started with a tough loss to Southeastern Louisiana, 1-5. It was then followed up by several blowouts, including 3 mercy rules, with 2 coming against Texas A&M and 1 against Kansas. Now, after the tough weekend, the Bison will look to rebound in the Purple and Gold Challenge. Their first opponent will be Georgetown, who they will play this Friday at 10 a.m. And switching to wrestling, who are coming off a blowout against number 7 Missouri, but the Bison were looking to get right after dropping their last 4 meets. Their next opportunity would come against a number 11 South Dakota State team in their final regular season meet of the year. The night would get off to a bad start, with the Bison being blown out in the 125-pound matchup. However, they would pull off an upset as Fernando Barreto would beat number 18 Derek Cardinal 7-2. But from there, it was a downhill skid, with the Bison dropping 7 straight before winning the final match of the meet. The Bison would end the season on a rough note, losing to SDSU 6-34. But the Bison will have some time to reset before the Big 12 championships are underway. The championship will be held March 9th and 10th. And that'll bring us to our last sport of the night, as golf has been active this past week as they start up their spring season. Starting with the men who participated in the Loyola Intercollegiate in Arizona, it was a dream showing for the men as they claimed the team title by 15 shots, winning with a team total of 40 under par, beating the previous record by a whole 14 shots. The men were led by Jake Scarperud, who shot 14 under par, claiming individual medalist honors as well. Scarperud also broke the individual 54-hole tournament record as well, with his 14 under par score just beating the 13 under par held by Nate Adams and Nate DeZiel. Adams followed up Scarperud with a 12 under par score on the course, and Jack Johnson finished 2 under par to round out the top 3 Bison. Switching to the women, who are getting their spring season started as well. However, the final results are not out just yet, as the women finished their Grand Canyon Invitational today. Heading into the day, the Bison sat at 10th out of the 21 teams invited. Where they'll finish, we'll have to see as the day progresses. Now, both teams will have a long break, with the men playing first in the Bandon Dunes Championship. That event will run from March 10th through the 12th. And as for the women, they will have even longer to wait, as they will compete next in the Red Rocks Invitational. That event will be held March 16th and 17th, and we wish the best of luck to both teams. Well, that is all I have for you for Bison Sports from this past week. Moving on to the weather, where we have seen a little bit of everything and anything as of late. Henry, we just had 50-degree weather here in Fargo, only to get a half a foot of snow just hours later. What can we expect for this week, or should we just expect the unexpected at this point?
Hi, NDSU. It is currently snowing. As you can see where my feet are completely covered in the amount of snow. I don't even know if it's snowing. I'm pretty sure it's just blowing, but we're right outside Memorial Union on the first snow day of the year, documenting this very cold day. I'm pretty sure when I checked, it was in the negatives. I think the feels like temperature was negative 19 degrees. So it is cold outside. Make sure to stay warm, NDSU. All right, back to you in the studio, future me.
Thanks, Past Henry. We're looking at current conditions of sunny weather right now, with temperatures of 6 degrees Fahrenheit with a dew point of -4. It was pretty cold yesterday, it was pretty cold today. Big departure than what we had on Monday with the nice 50-degree weather. Humidity is at 51% and winds are calm right now. Going over hour by hour, as you can see, it's going to start warming up here, and it's clear right now, but it's going to start getting more cloudy. But thankfully, it is, like I said, going to warm up at 9 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, yes, it's going to be 8 degrees. And then all the way 6 a.m., it's going to be scattered clouds with 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Moving to our Skycast, we had a total of 11 hours and 1 minute of sunlight today. Sunrise was at 7:09 a.m. and sunset was at 6:10 p.m. We are getting to those days in spring where the days are starting to get longer, so we can start seeing that nice spring weather and summer weather shortly. Moving to our Mooncast, we had a waning gibbous today. We had a full moon on February 24th, and on March 3rd, we're expecting our 3rd quarter. Today's almanac. Today was a high of 13 and a low of 2. Yet again, much like yesterday, very cold. Average temps on this day in the past were a high of 67 and a low of 42. Pretty warm for this kind of year, time of year. Record temps were a high of 93 in 1906 and a low of 19 in 1946. Moving to our national temperatures, as you can see here, it's cold all around the country. You can see here in the Appalachian Mountains area in the Midwest, reaching all the way to the the Rocky Mountains over here. It's pretty cold, 30s, 40s, 50s. Even up in northern Minnesota and around northern Wisconsin and the UP, and where we are, it's pretty cold, 8, 2, 10. And then we get down here in Florida, 74, California in the 60s and 70s, pretty cool for this time of year. Moving to some rain and snow forecast, we're not expecting much in the next 48 hours for us here. The most of the snow is going to be over here in Idaho and Oregon and Washington, more of the northwest. And all the rain is going to be in the southeast, Alabama, Louisiana, Florida. Pretty typical for this time of year. Moving to our 7-day forecast. Friday, we're expecting 41 degrees, Saturday is 49, and Sunday is 33, and I would not trust those graphics. We have had a little issue backstage. With lows of 7, 28, and 25 respectively. Moving to our rest of our 7-day forecast. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it's going to get pretty warm with a slight dip in temperature on that Tuesday. Perfect for if you're staying up here for spring break. And that Thursday temperature, that's going to really feel like spring break. Well, that's all I have for you this week, NDSU. Having a wonderful spring break, and make sure to push through to the end of midterms.
Thank you, Henry. Can't say I'm surprised that weather will throw us yet another Fargo-style curveball or two, but at least it'll be in the form of some nicer weather for once. Well, that does it for this week here at the Bison Information Network. I'm Logan Gennerberg, signing off for myself and everyone else in the studio. Wishing you a great rest of your week, and we will see you in March. Stay warm, everyone.